Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into one of the most important parts of any clinical trial, safety and adverse event reporting. We'll be walking through Chapter 7 of the ICH E6R3 guideline, which really lays out the responsibilities for both sponsors and investigators when it comes to protecting the people in these trials.
Everything we're about to discuss really boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. This isn't just a line in a document. It's the ethical foundation of our work. Because what's the point of an effective medicine if it isn't safe, right? This is our promise to the public. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the why behind all this. Then we'll get into the specific definitions you need to know. After that, we'll look at the events that demand immediate attention, map out who does what, and finally, talk about why safety is a continuous job. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the foundation. It's so easy to see safety reporting as just paperwork, but it's not. It is the core system we have in place to protect trial participants. These are the people who make all medical progress possible, and this is how we look out for them. You can think of safety reporting as a three-legged stool. If any one of these legs is weak, the whole thing collapses. It all starts with the investigator. They have to record everything accurately. Then, that information has to get to the sponsor, and it has to get there fast. Finally, the sponsor has the job of reporting it all to the regulatory authorities. Every step is absolutely critical. Now, for this whole process to work, everyone has to be speaking the same language. Getting the terminology right isn't just about being precise for the sake of it. It's about making sure that a safety concern that pops up in one part of the world is understood perfectly everywhere else. First up, we have the adverse event, or AE. The key thing to understand about an AE is just how broad it is. We're talking about any negative medical situation a participant experiences. A headache, a rash, a fall, anything. And here's the crucial part. You don't need to think it's related to the drug. If it happened, it's an AE, period. Next, we narrow it down a bit with the adverse drug reaction, or ADR. An ADR is still an adverse event, but now we've introduced the idea of a potential link. A doctor or investigator looks at the event and decides there's a reasonable possibility that the drug caused it. So we've moved from just observing to actually assessing. So let's just put these side by side to make it crystal clear. For an adverse event, causality doesn't matter. Did it happen to the participant? Yes, then it's an AE. For an adverse drug reaction, causality is everything. Is there a suspected link? Yes, then it's an ADR. Getting this distinction right is absolutely fundamental.
All right, now we're moving into the events that really raise the red flags. These are the ones that require everyone to stop what they're doing and pay immediate attention. Not all events are created equal, and this next level helps us zero in on the most critical safety signals. So what's the line in the sand? When does an adverse event go from being routine to being officially classified as serious? Well, thankfully, this isn't guesswork. The rules give us very specific criteria. An event becomes a serious adverse event, an SAE, if it meets any one of these conditions. And as you can see, these are incredibly significant outcomes. We're talking about death, life-threatening situations, hospitalization, disability, or birth defects. These are the absolute worst-case scenarios. And any event that leads to one is, by definition, serious. And that brings us to the highest possible alert level, the SUSAR. That stands for Suspected Unexpected Serious Adverse Reaction. To be a SUSAR, an event has to check two boxes. First, it has to be serious, meeting one of those criteria we just saw. And second, it has to be unexpected, meaning it's not something we already knew about from the existing product information. This is brand new, serious information, and it needs to be acted on immediately.
Okay, so we know the definitions. But knowing what to call something is only half the battle. The other half is knowing what to do about it. This next part is all about the workflow, who does what and when. This is the chain of communication in an emergency. The moment an investigator learns about a serious adverse event, they have to tell the sponsor, and not in an email tomorrow, but immediately, like by phone. That first alert is then followed by a detailed written report. Once the sponsor has it, the ball is in their court to expedite reports to the regulatory authorities and ethics boards, and it all loops back to the investigator, who needs to be ready to provide any extra info that's requested.
And let's be perfectly clear about something. These reporting timelines, they aren't just best practices or friendly suggestions. They are, in many places, the law. The source material is very direct about this. If a sponsor fails to meet these deadlines, they could face criminal charges. That's how seriously this is taken.
Lastly, and this is so important, we have to remember that safety isn't just about putting out fires. It's a continuous, proactive process. It's about building a complete picture of a medicine's safety profile over time. So, the sponsor's job doesn't end after sending in that urgent SUSAR report. They have a much bigger, ongoing responsibility. They have to constantly collect all the safety data that's coming in and analyze it. Then, at regular intervals, they create comprehensive safety reports, like a DSUR, to give everyone a full update on everything we know about the product's safety.
So let's just end with this thought. Every single AE report, every phone call about an SAE, every detailed periodic report, none of them exist in a vacuum. Each one is a data point, a piece of the puzzle. Together, they build the complete safety story of a medicine, a story that protects patients for years and years to come. Thank you.